Heyo, well, good morning. Greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton. I want to thank you all for joining us here today, Saturday. Lions Talk Live. About a week and a half until the NFL draft. We got a little bit of a different topic to talk about today. And you know what? Hey, as I'm sure you've seen from the thumbnail, Rex Ryan was spotted singing at the Masters. He was there and gave a little bit of an interview wearing Detroit Lions gear. Ultimately, does this mean he's considering joining the Detroit Lions? Probably not, but it is something to talk about and debate because I know one of the people on the biggest hot seat this offseason going into this upcoming season is probably Aaron Glenn, I shouldn't say long time, but he's been the defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions during the MCDC reign here and the revitalization of the Detroit Lions. It's been speculated by many a Lions fan for a while, for probably a couple seasons, that the team should consider looking at moving on from Aaron Glenn. This year, I think everybody watching this show is going to agree, he's probably for the first time had some real good sound talent across the board on the defense. So if the defense really doesn't perform well this year, you're going to probably hear the boo birds calling for his replacement. And as we'll get into in today's video, there's a reason why Rex Ryan is wearing Detroit Lions gear and even talking about them. You've heard him talk about the Detroit Lions especially last year during their playoff run. He was one of the biggest fans at ESPN, boasting how strong this team is, giving praise to Sheila Ford Hamp, to MCDC, and everybody in between in regards to this organization. So we'll dive into that. Before we get going into today's video on the topic, though, a couple real quick things. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so, making a push to get to 6,400 subs. And we're about 45, 50 subs away from hitting that mark. Also, if you enjoy the video, pretty please with sugar on top, consider hitting that thumbs up button. It helps out the channel and the video a ton. Our goal for today is to try to get to, let's say, 200 likes, if we can get that. So usually there's about 200 to 500 people, sometimes 700 people watching this live. So if everybody just watching it live could hit the thumbs up button, man, we'd be through the roof and through that gold. So hopefully you can assist in aiding me into that gold. All right, last and never least, hey, just because I do like to work for a living and eat food versus dirt, outside of being a YouTuber and a coach, /scout, I am a realtor, have been since the early 1990s. So if you're considering buying or selling property anywhere in the state of Michigan, give me a call or shoot me a text, 269-998-2384. Berg sent me a friend of theirs yesterday, so thank you very much for that. And I know I'm going to be putting on up somebody's property for sale from the Thumb of Michigan, who's a longtime Lions Talk Live YouTube watcher. So if you're looking for 200 acres, give me a call, shoot me a text, putting up property up there. All right, let's enough of the jibber jabber with all this. Let's get into Lions Talk Live. Let's talk a little bit about Rex Ryan. Let's talk about, is there potential if Aaron Glenn was to be replaced that Rex Ryan would step on in? And let's get into the meat of this because, as I said, Rex Ryan was at the Masters wearing Lions gear. You probably want to know why if you don't already know. But his son is on the staff. Seth, one of his sons, joined the Lions in 2021 as part of the new coaching staff assembled by Dan Campbell. When he came on, he has now since elevated to working with the wideout room, special teams, things of that sort. He was with the I get used to saying San Diego Chargers, the Chargers, LA Chargers, from 2017 until 2020 as an intern, offensive quality control coach. So he's worked his way up. He's paid some dues. He also worked as a wide receivers coach with Clemson, the University of Clemson, I should say, back in 2013 through 16. So he's paid his dues. He's working up. And you know what? As well as Rex Ryan has talked about this organization in recent years, he's probably at the point where he no longer desires being a head coach, but could he be talked into coming in if Aaron Glenn does not do well? And I'm not saying he's not going to do well. I'm not here to wish that Aaron Glenn doesn't do well. It's just the topic for the show today. But would Rex Ryan consider coming on board with the Detroit Lions? Would you want, if Aaron Glenn was to be replaced, would you want someone like Rex Ryan taking over the defensive coordinator role for the Detroit Lions? Be interesting to see what people have to say about that, because There are some people that really love Aaron Glenn. There's some people that are not a big fan of him. Me, myself, and I, the only thing I could say is I think he's done quite a bit, especially towards the end of last year, with the clear deficiencies this team has. So in his defense, they did not have a great secondary. They also did not have much of a pass rush. I will say earlier in the season, I thought he was making the lack of pass rush worse by playing so much zone coverage and backing off consistently, trying to basically play a horseshoe pass rush technique. And I know I talked a lot about it last year, but basically the idea was to push the offensive line back into the quarterback, not allow the quarterback to try to get out and escape. While this can be effective to contain a mobile quarterback, it also means that quarterback, unless you have guys that can really get through that line and bull rush all the time, that quarterback's going to have a lot of time to throw, which I think everybody watching the Lions defense at times got tired of the fact that quarterbacks sometimes would have, 4 or 5, 29 seconds to throw the ball. So let's see what you guys have to say on this topic. Let's go ahead and get over to the comments section. I did see before I even jumped on that, the comment section was a moving and shaking this morning. So let's kick it off. JDC, good morning, all. Good morning to you too. Michael, greetings, salutations, coach and new crew, exclamation points. Woo! The first woo of the show, and somewhere Don Burr is turning down his phone and putting on his earbuds. Matthew, greetings and salutations. Good morning, everyone. Super Bowl or bust. Woo! 100%. And good morning to you, Matthew. Robert G, good morning. Dan and the Do Crew. Back at you, Robert. Man, good morning, Dan and the Do Crew. Woo! 100%. Hookadoo. Good morning, Coach and the Do Crew. Grit, 100%. Good morning to you, Hooks. All right, Man Bear, greetings, salutations, all exclamation point. Hey, Dan, I know you are not all that interested in the new unis, but do you plan to have a discussion on the reveal coming Tuesday? Yeah, 100%, Man Bear. We'll do that. We'll go ahead and I'll put some pictures up in the thumbnail. To be fair, something like that I can put on the screen during the broadcast, and you guys want to talk about it, that's fine. To me, it's just, as you already point out, it's not a burning topic, but hey, if those things look great, which I will say this, the gentleman they hired to come on staff to be in charge a lot of the marketing and the redesigns of websites plus the uniforms, he comes right from Nike, and I don't know his specific position with Nike, but the fact that he worked for them and had apparently a pretty good background there and was well thought of, where Nike did not want him to depart, and that says something. That also speaks to what Sheila Hamp is done with this franchise. You look at the coaching staff she's brought on. You look at the people in the front office, and she's extended that probably beyond most of our considerations. The fact that she's hiring people high quality and ranking people from various different organizations outside of the NFL or sports. That I think that speaks volumes about what Sheila has done for this organization in really record time. You think about so many, and again, no disrespect for her father, her mom, or anybody like that, but what she's done for this team and this organization, this fan base, I guess you could say, she probably just doesn't get enough credit for it. All right, Bo, what do you got? Good morning, Do Crew, Superdome or bust, exclamation point. To every time a place, time is long gone for some. I'll go with that. Matthew, Rex Ryan would be one hell of an addition to the defensive staff. If Aaron Glenn gets a call and becomes a head coach somewhere, then you have more than one candidate to choose from for replacement. Yeah, there'll be a lot of people. I think the Detroit Lions it's still crazy to me, but the Detroit Lions are now a destination. And I don't think that's just players. I think there are coaches, trying to work their way up the system that would want to come on board. I think you're spot on, Matthew, that Rex Ryan potentially would be somebody that would entertain it. I could see someone like him that says, hey, just being a part of that, one more go around, and I don't have to handle all the details a head coach does, then yeah, I'd be fine with that. You guys know I coach, and just kind of for fun now at the high school level. It's not like a profession at this point, unless somebody puts enough zeros behind that one. Then maybe I'll go back to college or pro or something like that. But you're always looking for ways to improve your staff. So a longtime coaching friend of mine, I'll even give him a shout out, Jim Tulls. One of the greatest shooters you've ever had to guard, and one of the best trash talkers ever. But he does it in a very joking way, so it kind of makes you laugh, even though he's whooping your butt and he's telling you about it. Talking to him about coming and joining the staff this year, and the reason why is he's got so much experience, so much knowledge, and the situation with Rex Ryan or Jimmy would be kind of the same. You always want to upgrade what you have because that makes the staff better. It makes the players better. And as soon as I talked to Jim Tulls, I will say this, man, I was jumping up and down the idea of adding him to the staff. If I'm MCDC and if Aaron Glenn does depart for a head coaching job or another opportunity, or if maybe the worst case scenario, he just didn't get the team to perform well, adding someone who has that much knowledge and has a proven track record, I guess what I would say as a coach or a general manager or whatever on the team, does it make you better? Because at the end of the day, that's really all it should be about. It doesn't matter who the candidate is. Do you see yourself better for having hired them or worse? Do you think that person gets more out of the talent or less? At the end of the day, that's really all that should matter in the coaching ranks. All right, Robert, greetings and salutations. Back at you. Bo, no way, buddy. All right, fair enough. All right, Robert, yes, bring in Sexy Rexy. There you go. All right, what can I do? I was watching the NFL Network. Rex Ryan would be a great fit with the Detroit Lions, exclamation points. He was all in on the Lions, and a lot of exclamation points. And, yeah, I agree with you. You watched last year in his, breakdowns of the Detroit Lions when he would analyze the team. He had a lot of passion for him. He had a lot of, fire and brimstone, whatever you want to say, for just talking about Detroit, what they were doing. I think he would fit in exponentially. And not that there aren't other people to consider. I have no idea if Rex Ryan would want to come out of retirement and be a coach again. But with his son being on staff, could that be extra incentive, I guess, for him to do it? Unless he felt like somehow they were going to offer his son Seth the job or something like that. But I think it would be a great fit. It would add probably, I'd say this, he could even help out MCDC a little bit because, hey, having somebody who's coached for, I don't even know, probably 4 decades or so on staff in a subordinate role who maybe can advise you, hey, when I went through this or that, maybe here's something to consider, would not be a bad move in my opinion. All right, we got Quentin. Greetings and salutations, y'all. Ryan would be dope. Make that stuff happen. Hey, I still want to say this. I am not out or against Aaron Glenn being on the staff. I like Aaron Glenn. I just think, like a lot of the times last season we would talk about it, you can tell when some coaches, and this extends to MCDC, it extends to Ben Johnson, and some other coaches. A lot of them just don't have a ton of coaching experience. There's a big difference. I tell everybody, from being a player to being a coach, it just how you handle different situations is vastly different from one to the other. You might have wisdom and knowledge about the game because you played it, but how you manipulate the game as a coach, how you set people up for one play down the road by showing them something else now, or how you respond to adjustments in game, that takes time to typically learn, unless you're, I guess, a savant or something like that. But I'm all for Aaron Glenn. I hope he just knocks the cover off the ball this season, because I think ultimately for Detroit, that'd be the best thing. But if for some reason that they do decide maybe at the end of the year, or if things really went bad, I guess, during the season, then maybe you could contact someone like Rex Ryan and ask him to come on board. All right, Robert, maybe in the front office, but I don't see him on the coaching staff. Just saying, yeah, maybe he could come on as an advisor role. I know we've had some veteran coaches in the past that have done that. So that's a good point, Robert. Maybe he could come in and do something like that. That's not a bad thought there at all. All right, Robert, Rex is full of grit, probably. Yeah, I'd say that's fitting to his character. All right, Robert, let's see, Lions coaches set them apart from the rest of the league, exclamation points. And I would agree, they've got some real personalities and some real abilities. They do have, or I should say they have lacked some experience, but they are also getting to the point where now they should have a fair amount of experience in their particular roles as offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, head coach, or whatever. So we should start seeing some real growth and development out of all of them, in my opinion, or at least that's my hope. All right, Lions fan number 1, Coach. What's the story? Question mark. Is he really thinking about working for the Lions? Question mark. I'm assuming you're talking about Rex Ryan, and that I don't know, Lions fan. It is just speculation on my point. I don't want anybody to take today's story as, hey, Rex Ryan is going to report for duty tomorrow with the Detroit Lions. It's just speculation on my part that if Aaron Glenn was to move on to a head coaching job or a different organization or whatever situation, because of the relationship Rex Ryan would have with his son and thus the Detroit Lions and how he's spoken about the Detroit Lions in the past, would that be enticing for him to consider, if offered, a job or role with the Detroit Lions organization? Bo, in all due seriousness, very good. Very good. I'll go with that, Bo. Robert, woo, 100%. Robert, Superdome or bust? I agree with this. Yes, all roads this season have got to be pointed that way. And you know what? The more I watch this team, the more I think about the draft, the more I think Detroit Lions aren't just a front runner for the Super Bowl. I think they are the runner. I think they're one that everybody else is chasing. And I think, man, when this draft's over, I think we're all going to be dang impressed with what we've done this offseason and what just how much everybody else in this league is trying to catch up to us. You think about the entire NFL, and I'll ask you guys, who's better than Detroit right now? I think it's going to be real hard to look around and say this team is clearly better. I will say this: last year, I thought there were some questions that, potentially there would be a few teams entering the last season that were better than us. But by the end of the season, by the time we got to the playoffs, by the time we got to the NFC title game, could you really look at anybody else in the Final Four and say they're clearly better than Detroit? And I will say Detroit has, in my opinion, on paper, gotten way better. Not that other teams haven't. I just think this team could be scary good if they really hit another draft. If they really have anything like the last few seasons' results in the draft, this team, yeah, it could be legendary status for Detroit this season. All right, Polar Bear, what do you got? A guy mentioned on Twitter today that Robertson was Nevin Lawson's backup. He thinks he is Branch's backup. Okay, that could be. Yeah, I do remember Lawson with Detroit, and then he went to the Raiders, and Robertson was the backup. But was that potentially Robertson was the backup while he was younger and kind of a rookie or something, learning the cornerback position? That's what I guess I would ask. As far as him being Branch's backup, man, I don't know. We'll see what happens throughout training camp and stuff like that. My anticipation is right now, if we don't draft somebody that we're like, okay, this person's going to be the starter, opening day, if I was to guess right now, cornerback number 1 is probably Davis. Cornerback number 2 is probably Robertson. Branch is probably still your slot guy, basically. And then, probably safeties are going to remain the same with Iffy and Kirby. Now, maybe Emmanuel Mosley is fully ready to go by then. Maybe he's shown his stuff. Maybe he's cornerback number 2 or something. I don't know, but I'm going to say until we see that Emmanuel Mosley is all thumbs up, ready to go, then he's probably in a backup role currently with the team. All right, Cap, Steve Rogers, what do you got? Good morning. Thanks for a topic to talk about outside the draft for a change. LOL. Yeah, I get it, man. We've all probably been, hammered over the head with so many different mock drafts and draft this, draft that. I get it. It's that time of year, and it's going to happen even more in the next week and a half or whatever until the draft. And then even after the draft, you'll have more draft coverage just because everybody's going to do the analyzing the picks, the grades of the picks. But, hey, I'll put it this way. I'm enjoying it while we've got some topics to talk about because really you get we'll go 3 more weeks from now. Things are going to get real dry as far as stories. And, man, I'm going to be put to the test to come up with, new content to talk about and interesting content to talk about on a morning show daily basis. All right, Robert, LOL or laughing out loud at Bo. Okay, fair enough. Bo, what do you got? All right. He could be a staff inflection. All right. Very good. Hookadoo, Bo can't a guy dream. All right. Robert, St. Brown torched Robertson last year. Yeah, St. Brown torched a lot of people, though, last year, to be fair. So, yeah, we'll see how Robertson does. All right, Bo. Hey, Robert, he's full of something. Could be. Dennis, good morning, fam. Good morning to you, too. Robert G. agreed. All right. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. All right. John King, morning crew. I think Rex might be big and overshadow MCDC if he is on the sideline coaching. It could be, but I would say this. I think he's at the point in his career, and it's just a guess on my part, where he's not trying to be the man anymore. He's just, if he was to come out of retirement and be a coach, I think it's just to be a part of a team. Given his age and such, would he really want the workload of a head coach? Probably not. And again, using a friend of mine who talked about, coming and helping my team next year, one of the first things he said is he has zero desire to put in all the time of being a head coach, because at every level, whether you're talking high school, college, or professional, it's a job. I can tell you, even at the high school level, you put in probably 40 to 60 hours a week, and for, peanuts. At the college level, you don't get paid great most places, but it's still, 80 to 100 hours a week. Professional level, I'll tell you this, you better love it, because you know what? Your job is 100 plus hours every week. And if you don't do it, there are 1,000 people waiting to take that job. So that's why so many people at the collegiate and professional level burn out and have a lot of problems, because you even look at MCDC, he's only had this job 3 seasons. You go back and look at photos when he was hired, look at him now, you can see how it's affected him from a physical standpoint, just because of the demands of the job at that level, or at the collegiate level. But John, to your point, I think Rex, if he was to be offered the job, if there was an opening, I don't think he's going to try to overstep his bounds, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he wants one more shot at being the head man. I don't know. That I can't speak on. All right. Just say, Kay, we need to re-sign St. Brown sooner versus later, maybe after the draft, ? Good morning, all. Good morning to you too. And I would say, yeah, we get past the draft. That's when I think, at least at some level, conversations with St. Brown, probably golf, start emerging, tidbits more and more. Hey, they're talking to him about this or that. But after the draft, I think right now, at this point, the team is all locked in on one thing, and that's the draft. All right, Bo, what do you got? These dreams go on every moment of the day. Fair enough. Good old song, by the way. Hookadoo. Bo, love that song. Yes, I agree with that. Robert, lively bunch today. Let's go Lions draft. Woo! 100%, Robert. Good morning. And hopefully, yes, we can talk about the draft a little bit. All right, Jess, what do you got? Greetings, salutations, fam. Coach, I rewatched that draft of yours. The more I got thinking about it, the more I liked it. Okay, thanks for that, man. Nice work on that. Appreciate it. Will you do another before the real draft? I know there was a couple people in the chat that want us to do another interactive draft. So how about this? Next weekend, if you guys want, maybe like on Sunday, it seems to be the day you guys typically want to do the interactive mock draft. We'll do the final Dew Crew interactive mock draft. And then maybe a couple days before the draft, maybe like Tuesday or Wednesday, the night before the draft, I'll do another coaches draft, I guess. Robert G, sounds like an Aerosmith song. There you go. I'm guessing that was voice to text, but yes, Aerosmith it is. All right. Well, I live another lie. I live another lie. There you go. Stephanie, good morning, boys. All right. Good morning to you, Steph. Trump, woo, 100%. All right. Let's see. Bo, konnichiwa, Stephanie. Konnichiwa, yes. Robert G, I sure wish I was still a boy. Laughing out loud. Okay. Good morning. Good morning, Steph. Good morning. Yep. All right, Dave. Green salutations to the Dew Crew! ! Man, the chat is alive today and moving. Yes, it is. People came ready to play today. All right, Trump, what do you got? All right, I would take Rex Ryan over Swiss cheese cord. We have, yes. Like I said earlier in the show, some people love to death Aaron Glenn. Some people do not. I try to be as neutral as I can be on all topics. All I can say is, I thought he did far better as the season went on last year. I loved it when he became more assertive, more aggressive. I think he finally just said, we can't play dink and dime defense, force teams to just, slowly move the ball down the field. I like the fact that he started saying, hey, we're going to impose our will, live or die with whatever a team does against us, but we're going to go after them. And I'm really hoping this season that's what Aaron Glenn does. If he does, I'm on board with it. Do I think we have the greatest D ever? No, but I think it's vastly better than it was just months ago in the NFC title game. I do also think there is some real potential, a couple more pieces added to this team via the draft and maybe even free agency. Maybe this defense could be top 10-ish, right around there. And then at this point, with the offense, assuming that keeps trucking the way it did last year, you probably got a pretty dang good team because you know what? The secondary looks solid. I'm not going to say spectacular, but I think it looks solid. Linebacker core, solid. The front four, solid. I think if they get one more real good playmaker up front, one more real good playmaker in the cornerback room, now that defense isn't solid. I think it's pretty good. Not elite, but you know what? They're going to be able to make some plays, which unfortunately last year was a struggle for them. All right, let's see. Robert, mile marker. Have you seen? Have you ever been to see? I just cannot talk. All right. Have you ever been to Section 4, Lake of the Pigeon River? Oh, sorry, man. I just could not get that out of my mouth. I don't know why. So I'll have to let him see. 70. And hello to you, Bo. Okay. Matthew. Hey, Coach. You need to call your guys connected to the Lions and get them on Neyland. Word is they are enamored with Darius Robinson and that they will be looking to trade up because they think gone by 29. It could be. And hey, I've got my thoughts on who I like. Robinson's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. I just think, from my opinion, if you want really an impact pass rusher, you're probably going to have to move up somewhere between, I don't know, 11 and 20, somewhere in that range. I think one of those guys in that range you can get, unless somebody really just falls down the draft. Robinson, I like, I just don't love him. But to be fair, Neyland, who you guys hear me talk about all the time, I like him a lot. But I love his potential. That also means he's probably not ready to go this season and make an impact. His potential is what attracts me to him, but nowhere in the first round or the second round. At least maybe the end of the second round, and maybe his potential is, some other teams look at him and say his potential is so high that maybe we have to move up to like the middle of the second round to get him somewhere like that. That's what would attract me to Neyland. Robertson, I don't know, man. Everybody's got their own draft boards and grades, and I can't say I've watched months of tape on the guy or weeks of tape on the guy. So to be fair, but yeah, I probably wouldn't be moving up a ton to get him. Maybe one or two spots, but that'd be about it. All right, Matthew, what do you got? If they take a quarterback with 29, they can get Neyland in the second. They could, yep, and that's definitely a possibility, and that would be about the area their second round pick. They, in my opinion, they probably have to move up a little bit in the second round to acquire him, just because I do think, again, his potential is enough where I could see some teams leapfrogging into about the middle of the second round to acquire him. Franz, good evening, everyone. Just getting home from a night out, and I'll more than likely fall asleep during the show. It's been a good night. All right. Well, glad you had apparently a very good evening. And hey, hopefully the soothing sounds of the Dew Crew can move you off into sleep. All right, Bo, smoke and mirrors, Matt. It could be. It could definitely be. A lot of that this time of year. Berg time. Good morning, Dew Crew, and the man, the myth, the legend, Dan. Woo! 100% Bergs, and thanks for all you do for the channel, and good to see you out here, my friend. All right, Matthew, could be. That is Brad's way. It is Brad's way, 100%. Yeah, a lot of smoke mirrors, a lot of misdirection. Berg time. His son is on the staff. His son is on the staff, and could that be a contributing factor to Rex Ryan, Sexy Rexy, potentially even considering the Detroit Lions? We'll have to wait and see on that. Morning, Bergs, says Eddie. All right. Bo, Coach Man Dan, exclamation point. Hit the like button, crew. Yes, if you guys could hit that like button, it helps us out. All right, Berg time. Morning, Eddie. Good morning, Ed. Let's see, Robert. I will second that. Woo! 100%. Thaddeus. Good morning, all. Good morning to you too. Robert G. Dunn. Burger time. Hookadoo. Morning, Bergs. Bo, she loves you. Woo, woo, woo. There you go. Burger time. Morning, Hookadoo. Garland. One pride. Dennis. It's on like neck bones. All right. Rocky. Good morning, Coach. Dew Crew. Could use Rex in the background. Yeah, that could be. And I know somebody mentioned it earlier in the show. Is it possible you could bring on someone like Rex Ryan in an advisory role or developmental role? Sure. I think that would make a ton of sense if you could make that happen. All right, Wayne, good morning. You going to draft? I am not going to be able to go to the draft due to some coaching and scouting stuff I've got to do that week, plus some stuff I'm doing for the Detroit Lions on draft night now. So that in this summer, I'm going to be doing a couple pieces for the Detroit Lions organization, helping them out a bit. All right, Robert G. Seth Ryan, assistant wide receiver coach. Yes, he is. Yeah, and been here for a couple of years now. Doug, I think Rex Ryan is going to be really big on TV. He plays a lot of interest and is well respected, but it'd be nice as AG's replacement, but a bit early for any of that. Yeah, it is, man. Aaron Glenn would have to take a head coaching job, or, in a really unfortunate situation, maybe something with the defense just isn't clicking this year, where maybe he's got to move on or whatever from the team. And then could you make something happen with Rex Ryan? Potentially, sure. Robert, I do believe. We all got to believe in the Detroit Lions. 9 drinks. Rex Ryan. What? Yeah, so it's just total speculation. To be clear, 9 drinks. As you probably know from watching the show, Rex Ryan was wearing Lions gear at the Masters, did an interview, talked a little bit about the Lions, among other things. His son is a part of the staff. So if for some reason Aaron Glenn departed the team, because of a new coaching opportunity, whatever it is, could you look at Rex Ryan as somebody to come in because he has a relationship with the team? He is obviously, if you watched ESPN at all last year or hear him talk about the Detroit Lions, he's a fan. He's a big-time fan of what they're doing. So is it possible you could bring him in as a potential replacement based on his relationship with his son, maybe wanting to coach one more time? That's what we're talking about today. All right, Ed, good morning, Coach and Dew Crew. Back at you, Ed. Are you fishing today? I know you said the weather wasn't great the other day. All right, Polar Bear. Brad brought in, Giovanni Manu, British Columbia offensive tackle for a visit. Could he like Yodi? I cannot pronounce all these names. Scoresdale and Skipper like more than I do. Maybe they can wait until next year to add a starting caliber offensive line. I think they could potentially, to your point. Brad has brought in Scoresdale, Skipper, or retained Skipper, I should say at this point. Giovanni, could they just roll those guys? Sure, it is possible. I just think, to me, looking at some of the values in play with the draft and where you're going to be lined up, I just think there's a real good opportunity. And everybody's going to have different draft grades and stuff from one war room to the other. I just think the Lions are really set up where, okay, defensive player in the first round makes a lot of sense if the right one falls to you. If they don't, though, and say you just don't have a high grade on any of the ones that are at 29, unless you trade up, then the offensive line seems to be a position where there'd be real good grades or best player available presented to you. But we're going to have to wait and see what they actually do on the draft day. All right, Bo, dream on, Robert, I think. All right, well, Bo, don't dream away. All right, Gary, good morning, Dew Crew, 100%. Good morning to you, Gary. Bill, Rex Ryan is the man. He is, I love the fact that his defenses are always aggressive. And that's one thing I do love about Aaron Glenn is he's gotten those defenses to become more aggressive. So I'm really hoping this year, you guys heard me talk about it. I think we're going to be Blitzburg. I think we're just going to go pound other teams and go after them. So I'm hoping that's the case. If he does that, man, Aaron Glenn's got my vote. All right, Brent Green, Sanitations, everyone. I say yes to Rex as the defensive advisor, but no more. He would be. All right, I think got cut off there. So he would be. All right, well, he would be. All right. I guess I'll have to look for the rest of it somewhere. I'm trying to scan for it, but it's hard to always scan through. Robert G. Yup, that Bo Booth. All right. Bird time. Rex Ryan's son is on the Lions coaching staff. He is. J. Rod, greetings and salutations. Back at you, Jay. Polar Bear, bring Rex in if he doesn't need different players to run his schemes. There you go. That's actually, yeah, I would get that. You don't want to completely have to change stuff. You're going to have to work. Tell them, hey, you got to work with what you got. All right, Bo, took me a minute. It happens. J. Rod, good morning, Coach Dew Crew. Back at you. Randy Smalley, Ric Flair to y'all. Ric Flair to y'all. I'll go with that, Randy. Brent, greetings, salutations to everyone. No directs as DC, but yes, as an advisor to a younger DC. Okay, I think, yeah, I'll go with that. I know a lot of you guys have brought that up, and I don't think that's bad idea at all. Bird time. Love Rex, great defensive coordinator. Yes, I'll go with that. He's a proven track record. All right, Ed, I would love to see Rex on the Lions. He is 61 years old, has a lot of good years ahead of him. He could work wonders with this defense. He could, man. And even if it is as an advisory role, like I know they had, Complin and some other guys the last few seasons who have come in and just worked in that capacity. Could Rex Ryan just do that? And then if a situation arose where Aaron Glenn, did leave for a new coaching assignment or something, he could step on in. Yeah, that is possible. Robert G, if you look good, you play good. There, I'll go with that, man. I still wear suits at every level I coach at. Even at the high school level, I wear full suits because that's what was beat into me early in my coaching career. You treat it like a job. You treat it like a profession. You go out there. You show everybody this is the expectation. All right, 9 drinks. 18th is Thursday. All right, there we go. All right, Randy, no Rex hire from within. With that said, is Schofield auditioning for Ben's job after this year? Sudfield, it could be, sure. My guess is there's probably somebody on staff already that the Lions probably had at least some expectation the last 2 seasons that Ben Johnson could potentially depart. So if going into the seasons, if I was MCDC, and I can't say that he's done it, but if it was me, I would have probably 1 or 2 quality control coordinators or, some sort of subordinate role to the offense coordinator, working underneath them, trying to learn and develop as much of Ben Johnson's techniques, play callings, trying to learn and mimic him as possible. So when the ultimate thing happens eventually, or Ben Johnson takes off, you've got 2 people that are as close to replacing him as you could have. And then you just got to decide who's better for the job. At least that's what I would be doing over these years. And now you've got a 3rd year for that person to mature and kind of think like Ben Johnson. David A. Ryan comes across as a very smart guy on TV. Get him if you can, Coach Dan. I will make a phone call or 2. See what I can do, David. All right, Miles Marker. Good morning, all. At Robert Yankee. I've not seen that quote quite far in south of Section 4 Lake, but I have backboarded much north of there, especially during pandemic. Have you been there? ? Smiley face. All right, I'll wait to see. Bird time. Aaron Glenn is stubborn and has talent now, so let's see if there's improvement. Yeah, and I'm with you there, Bergs. I want to see now that he's got a little bit better secondary and a defense overall that has developed a little bit, added some more parts. How good can they really be? And that's, I guess, only one way to find out. All right, Josh, what do you got? If it's what Sheila did for the culture of the franchise from top to bottom. Yeah, you're spot on. She's gutted the house. She's torn everything down to the studs. You know what? She has rebuilt it from within. And kudos to her. You probably need to do a video or something just on her because you know what? She started at the top and worked her way down, and she's hit nothing but grand slam home runs seemingly on every hire she's made. And she's done it quietly, subtly, and she's expanding it to all aspects of the franchise. And I mean that in regards to bringing the individual whose name I do not know from Nike to, basically oversee the redesign of the uniforms, the marketing, a lot of those little nuances that most of us probably as fans, we're not overly, thought processing what they're doing as far as items like that with the team. But for Sheila, she is considering every aspect of the team, and that says a lot about her as an owner. So, in my opinion, does bring him as a consultant. I think that's a strong idea. Who can do a morning mile marker? Yeah, mile marker. Hopefully, he's having a good morning. Trump's hire Rex Ryan now as a defensive consultant. Yeah, I'd be okay with it. Auto check spell sucks again. Yeah, I get it, man. It gets me all the time, and sometimes in the morning before I have my morning Mountain Dew, my speaking isn't always so great. So, Burger time. Sheila deserves a lot of credit. She gets it and wants to win just as bad as we do! ! Unfinished business, boys. Go get it this year. Woo! 100%. And yeah, I know I just talked about the topic about Sheila, but I'm with you, Bergs. I think she needs a real big helping of appreciation from the fan base that she's doing it throughout the entire franchise, just not one or two layers of the franchise. Miles, what do you got? Hookadoo, how do, bro? You and Minnie? Question mark. Or am I mixed out? Fair enough. All right, Doug, if all caps, all goes well, our defense elevates to a top 10 defense, it will be because of the talent, not so much AG. Unless AG learns to become less stubborn, more able to adjust maybe our third quarter problems. Yeah, I would say there were times last year he did some good adjusting, but you guys heard me talk about my big issue with both him and Ben Johnson has been the lack of in-game quick adjustments. Too often, in my opinion, it takes them a couple quarters, maybe till halftime to adjust. And I'll use the NFC title game as an example of this. I'd say both sides of the ball did very well the first half. I don't think there's a Lions fan that would really, really take issues with anything the offense or the defense did in the first half. Problem, though, in my opinion, as a coach, is at halftime, Kyle Shanahan and all their defensive staff, their offensive staff made some adjustments. And where were our counters to that? Now, I get, okay, we had the fourth down drop, we had the fumble, we had the dropped pick off the face shield. Another one was Sutton. So we still could have won the game. And don't get me wrong, we could have still won the game and been in the Super Bowl. But I will also say the 49ers made some adjustments from a coaching standpoint, and the Lions really struggled to make adjustments to their adjustments. The faster as a coach you can do that in game, you save so much time and repetitions where that adjustment is now hurting you. You can now mitigate it or even make it work to your advantage. All right, Robert G. Rex needs an office next to Chris Spielman. It'll be a nice 1-2 combination right there. Two really intense individuals. Hookadoo, Toledo mile marker. All right, fair enough. Richard, what do you got? Rex could be a defensive strategist. Yeah, it could come in, maybe just work with Aaron Glenn, maybe just give him some ideas, make him help Aaron Glenn think about something maybe he hasn't considered before. So something like that, I think would be all on board. Randy, learning curve for both player and coach. Player has easier transition. Yeah, just because there's so many nuances you have to prepare for as a coach. Because like I was just talking about in-game adjustments, as a coach, that's your job. You need to know everything. So you need to watch the film on the other team. Hey, when they go to this formation, that formation, they have this guy in. Here are the tendencies. And that's true it's true in volleyball. It's true in, basketball. It's true in every sport. That's one of the things most people, when they are players and first become coaches, they are not ready for that because they've never had to consider those things. And unfortunately, I've seen a lot of great players who become coaches that, don't last very long because they did not realize how much of a learning curve there is. And especially if you were a great player, sometimes that can be a real hammer on your ego. The fact that you don't know that, so you get away, so you don't have to deal with it. Fortunately for me, that was not a problem because I was not a great player. Mile marker. Steve Rogers, I'm with you. A breather from the draft is nice. Yeah, every once in a while, yeah. I think we're all still focused on the draft, but yeah, having a topic that's not draft related once in a while, not a bad thing. Doug, what do you got? We all caps here. We really need to address how we see second half. Question mark. It would be interesting to replay all the third quarters from 2023. Maybe analyze them one a day. LOL. Dan, you are a coach. What do you see? Basically, kind of just talked about it. To me, especially, and again, just using the NFC title game as an example, the 49ers came out, they made some shifts, and I don't remember them all off the top of my head, so I won't go there. But they made some shifts, and you can see where our offense, especially our offensive line, needed a couple drives to get acclimated to what the 49ers were now doing up front. As far as our defense, if I remember right, so don't hold me to it, but they went to a little bit more max protection. So they knew their lines were blitzing a lot and leaving everything in man-to-man or zero coverage across the board. So what they did is they tended to leave, and again, going off memory, so don't shoot me if I'm wrong with this, but they left in additional blockers to slow down the pass rush. And that allowed a lot more deep shots being able to throw. Sort of like the big bomb that Vildor dropped. If I remember right, they left in something like 6-7 blockers and to create that one-on-one deep shot matchup, because I think they knew the Lions, hey, they just didn't get it on fourth down. We've got to get something big here in a hurry because the clock is not our friend. And that's what they did. They took their deep shot. It should have went against them. It didn't. It went for them. But that's basically what I remember, Doug. All right, mile marker, Toledo, exclamation points. You guys hate the John Denver still? Oh, boy. Randy, KC, fair enough. Miles, somebody here is from Minnesota who I've mixed up now. Sorry, that happens, man. Yeah, I'm not sure who's from Minnesota. Hookadoo, yes, I still remember his comment about Toledo. There you go. Nine Drinks, KC is falling. Very good. I'll go with that. Randy, they will figure out who goes where in training camp. Yeah, I would agree with that. Wait till training camp. Josh, I'm hoping the Lions get to sign the kicker from Michigan Panthers, Jake Bates. He hit that 64-yarder twice in the first game and a 62-yarder last week. There will be a bidding war for him. Yes, there will be. And I know people have talked about he's from Texas. Could he potentially just want to go back there? It is possible. J-Rod, I still think Lattimore is coming in June. Yeah, I'd be way okay with that. Because, yeah, I think Lattimore, if he stays healthy, he could help out that secondary quite a bit. Doug, as a 9-year-old boy, I watched parts of the 57 championship win on our neighbors TGV. Still remember that and the struggles against the AFC stealing our draft choices. A lot of years, no titles. Yeah, and I get it, man. Yeah, as Lions fans, we're all waiting for a new title. All right, Miles, Randy Smalley, I went to Hickerman Mills High School in KCMO, KC, Missouri. All right, Lafayette. So fond of KC, no matter what, I want them to lose I want them to lose those these days. All right, fair enough. Yeah, you do want them to lose these days as a Lions fan. Gotcha. All right, Dennis Robertson will be fine. I agree. I think he's going to be way okay. Robert G, as much as you enjoy this at Coach Dan, you will be so busy in the next 2 weeks. Yeah, and I enjoy this stuff, man. So, even if I'm busy, man, that's where I'm happiest. As most of you guys know, I day trade. I do YouTube. Obviously, you guys know about the real estate stuff and the coaching and the scouting. It's just my nature, man. If I'm just sitting around, I'm just not happy. So I enjoy being busy. I guess I could have just said that. All right, Randy, Miles Marker, have a high school friend, big Lions fan, has a KC backup living in his block. Okay, fair enough. Thanks for that, Randy. Miles, LOL, we had Royals relief pitcher for a neighbor back in the day. Okay. Eduardo, good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, too. Eduardo, let's see. Rex is number one Lions supporter on ESPN. I would go with that. Yes, he is a big-time supporter for the Detroit Lions. Dennis, good morning, everyone. Okay. Eduardo, his son works for us. He does. He is. Yep, Seth. All right, Bo, Sunday Interactive. Okay, next Sunday, we'll do the final interactive mock draft before the real draft. 9 Drink Sunday it is. A week from Sunday, just so we're clear. Going into the week of the NFL draft. Randy, there's probably 5 guys on here trying to take your job, Dan. Hey, it happens, man. It's just part of it, man. All right, one funky. Amik played more than 60% of the snaps the last 2 years. That's a lot for a, quote, backup. And Rex has been a Lions fan since this regime got here. He's not leaving his comfy desk job. Probably not. I'm going to guess he really enjoys working at ESPN. But could it be possible? Sure. We'll wait and have to see if the situation reveals itself. All right, Eduardo, during the playoffs, he was the only one on ESPN picking the Lions for all 3 games. Yeah, and there were a lot of times he was, pounding the table about the Detroit Lions, and so I get it. Eduardo, Lions Talk Live, baby, 100%. LTL for life. Just to let you guys know, I know Micro Mike and, there's a bunch of YouTubers going to, I forget the name of the casino up north, but they're going to go there. They're going to broadcast the draft. And I called Micro Mike, and I don't know, I was watching YouTube or whatever, and something about old school wrestling came up. So I called him. I was like, you know what I'm going to do just to make your day? And he was like, what? It's like, I'm going to put on the Ric Flair robe. I'm going to get the championship belt, the sunglasses, and the blonde wig. I'm going to come up there when you guys are broadcasting. I'm going to come up there, hit somebody over the back with a belt, spray paint LTL on them, just for fun, not really hit them or anything like that, but just some old school kind of wrestling stuff. do a couple woos and then get out of there. And he started cracking up. He thought it'd be funny. He said he didn't know if it would go over well with the casino security or anything like that, but he thought it'd be hilarious. All right, Wardo, if you are picking late, do you not bother scouting or doing due diligence on a guy who could be a quote projected to be out of your range? No, I would say so. What I can tell you from my past experiences, you probably have a list with each of your scouts. Here are 6 guys that we're guessing will be in our range of that particular pick per draft, per round, I should say. And each of your scouts are given a different 6 to break down. And then when you guys want a little bit more information on a few, maybe you have a 2 or 3 of the scouts work together on a list as well. So they do a pretty deep dive into each of the guys that realistically would be around their picks. Then they start breaking down scenarios. What if? And that's why you guys, when I do stories on, hey, the Lions talked to, like earlier this week, I know they talked to the Colts and the Rams, because what they're trying to do is they're testing the waters to see, really, is it possible if we give up this or that to get to these picks? Now, why do you do that? So now your scouting department, hey, we think it is possible that we could pull off this trade. Now here's a list of guys we're going to have potentially at that range. And you want scout A, B, and C to do basically 18 different guys total, 6 each. Now, here's where we're going to narrow it down from those 18 to 10 guys that we know will be in that range. I want you guys, all 3 of you, to break down and say, here's our A1 grade, B1 grade, etc. on each of those guys. Who's the best prospect? So part of the life of a scout, I mean, let me tell you, these guys are not getting any sleep the last month or two, and now especially the week or two leading in, because there is so much detailed information you've got to get to process those reports. And I'll tell you this, if you make it as a scout and it changes from one league to the next, one country to the next, but use China as an example. When I put in my recommendations on a player, if that player signs, not only do I get paid for that recommendation, but I get a percentage of their contract. And if they do well and they get a second contract, usually it's in the verbiage of that contract that I get a percentage of that as well. So if you make it through the grind as a scout, you're going to be fairly rewarded. We'll put it that way. All right. Rex has forgotten more than AG will ever know. That is possible. He's been around a long time, man, as a coach. All right, Eduardo, I think the theme of the draft should be, quote, how do we not make the defensive line the best in the league? I'll go with that. Yeah. J. Rod, Davenport is going to be baller this year. Yeah, Davenport, they've had some good runs. All right, Eduardo, people forget Rex's defenses in New York and Buffalo weren't bad. He just didn't have a quarterback. He did not. Yeah, and don't forget about the butt fumble too. Miles, next time, let's start chat with tongue twisters for Dan. Yes, thank you very much for that. Hilarious, Miles. There you go. One funky. When Davenport is healthy, he's an above average player. Unfortunately for him, he's never healthy. Yeah, and that's the other part with that. And I get J. Rod, yes, about him hopefully being healthy this year, going out there and doing some stuff. I still think at the end of the day, it's just my opinion. Maybe it's wishful thinking that James Houston is going to be starting on the opposite side. All right, Robert, what do you got? Mile marker, it's a must-see. Looks like a moon crater full of trees and, of course, water. There you go. Let's see. Trump's anyone ever hunt Porcupine Mountains in the UP? I have not. Randy, do you think Sudfield is auditioning for Ben's job next year? In my opinion, no. My guess is you're going with somebody who's already got some experience there, not somebody just coming in off the bench. All right, Miles Franz Ferdinand, Yannis, there you go. Yeah, we haven't seen him after that post, so I don't know. Maybe he's already asleep. Gary, how many GMs going to take a call from Brad this year? My guess is he's probably already talked to realistically about every GM in the league about potential options. And I would say that's probably consistent with most general managers across the board. They've already tried to set up some baselines, set up some conversations. You guys have heard me talk about it. They have conversations throughout the year, about potential trades for a lot of different reasons. One, to keep a relationship with that general manager. Two, kind of get a rough idea what it's gonna take to acquire said asset, whether it's a draft pick or a player. And you want to be able to crack jokes. You want to be personal. You want to be on somebody's good side, because if somebody is strongly against you and you make that call to get a trade for whatever it may be, it's probably going to drive the price up. Where if you're buddy with them, probably going to drive that price at least down a little bit. Secret. Hi, Coach. I'm having a do and some dogs. You ever have Oscar Mayer Smokies, hardwood Smokies? Yum yum. Good day, Coach. Yeah, is the only thing I would say is I love them all as long as they're not boiled. I prefer them grilled hot dogs, that is, versus boiled. Jen actually likes them boiled, so we kind of fight a little bit on that one. She likes to go into the root beer stand. I don't really love it. It's just boiled hot dogs aren't for me, man. All right, Trumps. What about long-haired Rob Ryan? It could be, man. If Aaron Glenn leaves, there's going to be a lot of people jumping at that job, I would think. Miles, ain't it funny how Coach here rarely bangs his own drum? Respect, Coach. We respect you. Yeah, no worries, man. I don't have a drum. I don't think, but yeah, kudos. Yeah, thanks for that, Miles. Wardo, when do you think teams have their draft boards finalized? I gotta be careful what I say here because everybody's different, but they've got a real good idea at this point. But I have no doubt every day that Brad talks to, say, team A or B or whatever it is about a potential trade or testing the waters, as I'd like to say, poking the bear, trying to see what you can get, that they might update some of their scenarios. Again, pointing out the scouting staff, these dudes aren't getting any sleep right now. They are looking for every detailed bit of information, something that could have been missed or whatever. 48 hours before the draft, that's when things will really, for the coaching staff, the scouting department, everything, that's when everything will die. Because at that point, you're going with your boards, unless there's some sort of breaking news on something, somebody, drunk driving or, got caught doing something they shouldn't have been doing or whatever it may be, that will affect it. But 48 hours ahead of time, so we'll just say Tuesday morning, all the sheets are in, all your books are in, your video breakdowns have gone through. Everybody's gone through enough war room situations where now it's cool down time. Let it all marinate. And I guess if you guys want, we could do kind of I know I talked to you guys about doing like what a life in a general manager or scouts like, but maybe if you guys want, maybe like a couple of days before the draft, what's going on in the war room today? What should be happening here or there? Maybe do a video on that. That might not be a bad idea for you guys. Like I said, they typically do not allow journalists in there anymore. They used to, as crazy as that may seem nowadays. Back in the 80s and 90s, you could still get into the war room if you were a reporter. But some of that changed because some knuckleheads, got information out that they shouldn't have. And I think that pretty much put the kibosh on it across the NFL and probably other major leagues that probably with everybody nowadays. All right, Joseph, hell yeah. I mean, I like Aaron Glenn, but I like Rex Ryan better. Bring him on, ! Says Joseph. Good morning, Coach and the Duke crew. Woo! Well, good morning to you, Joseph. Hopefully you're having a great one. Robert G., I don't think we say this enough, but thank you for your service, vets, and to all who are serving. I'll go with that, man. God bless to you all. Yeah, anybody who served, whether I'm talking, the military, law enforcement, thank you for all you do and have done, because those guys just do, those people, I shouldn't say guys, so anybody who serves just does not get enough credit for the jobs they do. So if you see someone today, maybe open a door for them or buy them a Mountain Dew. All right, mile marker simplify. There you go. Randy, watch Barnes flourish as a blitzer this year. I am hoping. Hookadoo, aim high. I like it. Simplify. You said it, Bo. Trumps, I think the problem with the Lions' second half of the championship game was they just choked too many bad plays, not a coaching issue. The players. Yeah, I mean, again, we can talk about it. The drop picks, the fumble, the drop passes. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Some people, that moment gets to them, and it affects them all differently. One of the toughest things to have to be able to tell somebody, if somebody like hires you to do an evaluation on an athlete, especially if you get to know that athlete, it's real tough sometimes to have to talk about them. Hey, you might have all the physical traits in the world, you might have this, that, what the other thing, but the mental component, it's tough. And some people say, what do you do to help people who just don't perform well under stress and pressure? And to be brutally honest, I don't think there is anything you can, because that comes from a lack of self-confidence in that moment. The only way to augment it is for that person to have more confidence by producing results in stressful situations. The more you can do that, now they have more confidence, they grow through it. That's why sometimes, like as a college, a recruiting coordinator or coach, you put a little bit more of a premium on a player who's played on teams that has done something, been in those moments, because you can look back and say, okay, what did they do in a stressful situation? What did they do in the big moment? If you haven't faced many of those in high school, thus some of your more formative years, are you all of a sudden going to know how to do it in the college level, the pro level? So it is a skill set. It is very hard to teach. It's not like you can just go hire some coach to help you through it. I mean, I get there are mental coaches, stress coaches. I mean, there's coaches for everything nowadays. And my opinion, for whatever it's worth, the only way to really learn that stuff is just repeatable performances in that moment, in that stressful situation. So, yeah, we're too much of a thing on that. So sorry about that, guys. All right, Rocky, let's see a few more here, and it's go time for me. I think AG should get up in the booth so he can see the field and maybe able to make adjustments. Yeah, some coaches prefer being up there. Some prefer being on the field. I don't know if there's real evidence which way is best, but maybe to your point, Rock, maybe Aaron Glenn should give that a try. Just see if that helps him out. Bo, agreed, Trump. Won't happen again. There you go. Miles Margaret. Now that I can agree on add Trump. Second half was pure choke. I would say yeah. Yeah, bad luck for 100%. Matthew, Rex, and Chris need an office with a kegerator and a pool table. That could be something. Yeah. Miles, yes. Doug, Terrence Williams is going to be doing what we are speculating here. I think, anyways, a sounding board for AG, someone who has to listen to hit at least. Yeah, I think he's a nice addition to this team. And potentially, if Aaron Glenn did depart, do you elevate Williams to the defensive coordinator role? Just a thought. All right, Nigel, what do you have? People forget how much our run defense has improved. Now it's top 5, so give AG a break. Yeah, I agree with that. Now, can he take the team to a top 10 or higher defense? All right, Hookadoo, I agree. They just totally fell apart in the second half. Yeah, one thing, that first mistake became 2 mistakes, became 3 mistakes. And yeah, that's when the snowball effect started happening. Trump's, that second half collapse was the end of the Bobby Lane curse. Let's hope so, man. Peanut, Rex Ryan would be a great hire. It would be. Robert, let's see. Jason is from Minnesota. Hey, there you go. Jason, lots of experience with Rex. Superdome or bust, 100%. And good morning to you, Jason. Johnny V, good Saturday morning, all. I like the idea of Rex potentially waiting in the wings. It gives me a level of comfort. Go Lions. I'll go with that, man. And good morning to you too, Johnny. Peanut, favorite player to draft at 29. Whew, that I don't know, man. That I don't really have one. Just best player that would fall to us at that spot. My Soaring Eagle Casino. There you go. Phil, Soaring Eagle. We'll go with that. And good morning, Phil. Dr. Troy, big fan of Rex. I think a lot of us are, man. I think a lot of us are. Peanut, in your opinion, what is a position we still need to fill or upgrade? Defensive end, offensive line, and probably cornerback. An argument could be made for wide receiver too, though, for long-term stuff. All right, Dr. Troy, offensive guard or center. I'll go with that. Polar Bear, I wouldn't want Dan's jobs. I have 0 verbal communication skills. Hey, man, it's just it's hard to believe. I can barely spell and write at times. Yeah, I mean, I really did. I know some of you guys thought I was joking, but back in the day, as a sports editor, I was voted two years in a row worst reporter in the business because of my writing and spelling skills. And thank goodness for spell check and all that stuff, because it saved my butt. Back in the days, like one of my first reporting jobs was at the Kalamazoo Gazette, and they had some old school 70s computers. And I came out of college. I mean, this is the early 90s. I was like, there's no spell check on this. So the sports editor for the Gazette at that time was a guy named Jack Moss, and he had been there since the 50s. Came over with this massive dictionary, threw it down. I was like, well, there's your spell check right there. So it was a big learning curve for me, but it did help me my spelling out a bit. So anyways, all right, Mitch, good morning. Sorry, just joining in. Your thoughts on Adora Phillips? I like him. I just don't think it will be a target for the Lions, but me saying that, Mitch, probably means he'll be drafted by the Lions. So take that for what it's worth. All right, Miles, Robert Yankee, I've heard it's perfectly round. Some say sinkhole, question mark. I didn't know about trees. I'm going to check it out after mud season. There you go. Miles, that'd be nice. War room. Yeah, I'll see if I can put something together for you guys then. Seeker, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. Thanks for that, Seeker. All right, it's been about an hour and 5 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and get off the air. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. About 40 to 50 subs away from hitting 6,400. The goal for today's video is to hit 200. I can see there's about 400 people watching, so if everybody just watching will hit that thumbs up button, I surely would be thankful. Other than that, if there's some breaking news later today, I'll get it over to you. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, and see you on the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody.